bouncing back in the wake of adversity, is often underrated. Resilience researcher George Bonanno found that survivors of trauma tend to exhibit one of three trajectories: chronic symptoms, gradual recovery, or resilience. In almost every analysis he conducted, the resilience trajectory, bouncing back, is the most common pattern found. Bonanno highlights three ingredients that are central to what he terms the flexibility mindset: optimism or a general belief in a favorable future, confidence in our ability to cope, and a challenge orientation, or viewing obstacles as challenges rather than threats. These core ingredients, Bonanno found, are essential for one's ability to bounce back, and we would add spring forward after a life-altering event. Not only is the potential for post-pandemic growth possible, but people are growing right now. According to one large Gallup poll, at the start of the pandemic, the percentage of Americans who evaluated their lives well enough to be considered thriving was as low as ratings during the Great Recession. However, by June 2021, the percentage of Americans who evaluated their lives well enough to be considered thriving had reached the highest levels in more than 13 years. We're also finding newfound ways to be grateful. Psychologist Philip Watkins and his colleagues surveyed 511 adult participants from March to May 2020 about their current and future emotions. Even in the thick of the pandemic, more than 56% of people reported being very grateful in general, which was 17% higher than the responses of any other positive emotion. What's more, 69% of respondents expected to feel even more grateful in the future. During the pandemic, gratitude was a strong predictor of happiness and significantly predicted the likelihood to help others. The idea that pain and trauma can be transformed into courage and strength has a long history among humans, as exemplified by everything from art and literature to philosophy and spiritual beliefs. Indeed, the hero's journey is a very common narrative throughout literature. The hero explores the world, conquers their inner demons or outer struggles, and comes home changed or strengthened in some victorious way. The formal scientific study of this fundamentally human transformation boomed in the mid-1990s when psychologists Lawrence Calhoun and Richard Tedeschi coined the term post-traumatic growth, or PTG for short. According to these researchers, PTG involves positive psychological changes experienced as a result of the struggle with traumatic or highly challenging life circumstances. The PTG approach is grounded in existential philosophy and existential humanistic psychology, approaches to human existence that emphasize the importance of viewing suffering through the lens of the meaning that we ascribe to the event. Importantly, it's not the traumatic event itself that leads to growth, but the cognitive processing and meaning-making during and in the aftermath of the event that has the potential to facilitate significant transformations in our lives. PTG does not deny the discomfort and pain frequently associated with a highly challenging experience, but focuses on how we can grow given that we can't change the past. As the existential psychotherapist Irvin Yalom put it, sooner or later, you have to give up the hope for a better past. Critically, the event doesn't have to be life-threatening. Life-altering is not the same as life-threatening, or cause post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD for short. PTG can result from enduring any challenging environment that causes a seismic shift in our worldview and assumptions about how we thought the world worked. Critically, what is traumatic to one person may not be considered traumatic to another. Indeed, we believe that trauma is in the eye of the beholder. Some common traumatic events found in post-traumatic growth studies include natural disasters, motor vehicle accidents, bereavement, sexual assault, a terminal illness diagnosis, and combat trauma. Over the course of the pandemic, we would add to the list quarantine and isolation from loved ones, newfound fears of things that previously sustained us most, such as close physical contact, stigma related to infections and infection control measures, massive cancellations of life events, work and school closures, the total breakdown of barriers among home, work, and school, forced exposure to the virus for those in jobs that didn't allow them to work from home, navigating childcare, homeschooling, and sustaining a living for one's family, rampant death, loss, and despair for both human life and an overall sense of normalcy. The list goes on. Many of these events are not only life-altering,